Have you ever noticed how in the beginning of a relationship, things are so exciting, you are so thrilled to do anything the other person asks of you? You're happy to do it for them. They ask you to do this, that. It's more convenient, less convenient, more difficult, less difficult. Sure, I'm happy to do it. You get hired for a new job. You have a new boss, whatever they want done. But a year down the road, suddenly they start becoming a nuisance. You start getting frustrated. You're not that excited to do everything they're asking you to do. You meet your future spouse. They ask you for a favor. Can you drive 60 miles to go pick something up for me? Sure, no problem. I'll do it right now. A year down the road, married and all. And do you really need me to do that? Do you really need me to go 60 miles now and get that? Can't we find another way? Don't you know someone else who can do it? Things change. It's not new anymore, and we sort of don't have that same feeling. And when we're in a relationship, this starts showing up in many different interactions between us and the other person. You decide you want to exercise. You start exercising every day, 3 days a week, whatever your commitment is. And suddenly, if you're any way like me, a few weeks later, it starts becoming excruciatingly difficult to get up and do that exercise. In the beginning, the commitment was so strong and it was so easy to do. And suddenly, it's so difficult. How do we resolve these challenges? Here's the good news. The good news is that you don't need to analyze every interaction you have with the other person. You just need to fix one thing, and by fixing that one thing, you will have fixed everything. And that one thing that you need to fix is your feeling for the other person. And when you realign yourself with that feeling towards the other person, everything that they reach out for becomes so much easier. The moment we realign with the reason why we started exercising, why we committed to this diet, and we strengthen that again, suddenly it becomes so much easier every single time we need to get up and exercise, or every single time we need to make a choice about whether to eat that food or not to eat it. When someone was a farmer in the land of Israel, there was a requirement that farmers tithe, bring a percentage of their crops to the holy city of Jerusalem, and that percentage of their crops needed to be eaten in the city of Jerusalem. That was a requirement that God gives us if one is a farmer in the land of Israel. And the Torah addresses a challenge that a farmer may have. And the challenge is, what happens if this farmer is a very successful farmer and they live on the other side of Israel, very far from the city of Jerusalem, and the trip is a distant trip, and it's asking much of them to take all of these fruits or crops and to schlep them all the way to the city of Jerusalem. So the Torah says that if someone finds that the trip to the city of Jerusalem is a very big trip for them, and the reason why the Torah says the trip is a big trip for them, because ki yirchak mimcha hamakom, because the place is distant, then what you can do is you sell your crops, turn them into cash, bring the cash to Jerusalem, and then you use that cash to buy food in Jerusalem, go to your favorite steakhouse, buy a good steak, and eat it in Jerusalem. So there's a conversion method. But there's a little point over here I'd like to focus on, because this is the deep insight that the Torah shares with us about why we lose our passion for things, as I was discussing a moment ago. And that is because the place is distant. Right? We understand that if someone lives hundreds of miles away from Jerusalem and they have a whole lot to bring over, that obviously it's going to be difficult for them to make the trip. But there's a deeper message that we are being taught here. And for that, we need to have a little bit of an understanding of the Hebrew language. And that is that the Torah says, when the place, hamakom, the place is distant from you. We actually know that one of the names of God is makom, the place. Why is God called the place? Because God is the original, infinite presence that always was and always will be before anything else was. And so therefore, all that exists in the world, even the creation of the universe, exists within God's place. God is sort of the backdrop of everything. So God is the ultimate place, the everything place. And so we refer to God as the place. And in our prayers, we refer to God to this with this word numerous times. And we also refer to God when we console someone at a Shiva home. Hamakom yinachem eschem. May the place console you, because God is the place. And so what we're hearing here now is a deeper message. The reason why someone will have a difficult time making the trip from a far-off city to Jerusalem is logistically because the place is distant. But emotionally, because God is distant. Not the place, but the true place. God is distant. You see, if our relationship with God was strong, we'd be thrilled. Space, inconvenience is irrelevant, just as it is with a spouse, when we are feeling the relationship. And so the Torah is indicating to us that when we find something difficult, it's because what is driving the reason why we're doing it, we have distanced ourselves from. But when we realign ourselves with that, it becomes so much easier. For someone who I feel for, the biggest inconvenience is easy. For someone who I don't feel for, the smallest inconvenience can be overwhelming. We just need to realign ourselves. So all we need to do is ask ourselves a very simple question. Why is this person so important to me? Just think about that for 60 seconds and everything becomes easier. Why did I commit to doing this thing? Why was this so important to me? Realigning ourselves with that why, and it becomes that much easier. All you need to do is ask yourself, why am I committed to this in the first place? And then think about it, and it will be that much easier. And you may discover that you don't even know why you're doing this. And that may be an indication that you shouldn't be doing it. So just ask yourself, why?